All right, so let's get started. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me today. And welcome to Are Your Users' Heads in the Clouds? Well, maybe you should take your documents to the cloud too. Today, we are going to be going through different deployment options. Cloud means a lot of things to a lot of different people, and so we're going to kind of go through the options and pros and cons to each so you can really get a feel for, which cloud environment your team really needs or is looking for. From there, we're going to tour the Laserfiche Cloud platform, take a look at some of its notable features, such as the home screen, capture profile, smart capture, and more. And then from there, we'll talk about next steps. So what you need to move to the cloud and go from there. So I want to start out with the cloud deployment options. So a lot of clients, again, as I had mentioned, cloud can mean different things to different people. So let's talk about the different Laserfiche deployment options. So they're self-hosted. This is what Laserfiche deployed initially. You bought a Laserfiche system. It was something that got installed within your server on your network, within your environment. Nowadays, everybody is searching for the cloud. They want something, in the cloud where it's super easy to deploy, really quick. And that can mean two different things. So there's a SaaS cloud, software as a service, which means everything is in the cloud. Somebody else is maintaining that server environment, ensuring that it's staying up to date, and you're just, getting access to their software application. So you log into it, right from your devices. You don't have to do anything about a server. You don't even, know anything about it. It just works for you. It's in the cloud. The kind of third option is a hybrid between the two, which is a hosted cloud. So that's taking your existing or your self-hosted deployment and pushing it into a virtualized or cloud environment. So again, Laserfiche is really flexible, so you can install it really, wherever you want if you've got a self-hosted option. So you can have it hosted by a third-party provider such as CDI or Amazon Warehouse, or something similar. So there's kind of two options when we talk about cloud, and I just want to differentiate those. SaaS, software as a service, that is the Laserfiche Cloud option. Or there's the virtualized or hosted cloud option, which takes your self-hosted system into a cloud environment. So let's talk about some of the advantages. So advantages to, a self-hosted or hosted cloud solution is that you get to control, what your environment is, completely from start to finish. So you can configure the security, you can configure the firewalls, you can configure the DMZ. Everything is controlled by your staff, which a lot of organizations like. You have the capability to increase access points for custom integrations and other, kind of add-ons to your system. So a self-hosted system, cloud, you control completely. So a Laserfiche cloud environment or SaaS environment is an easy implementation. You don't have to install anything. You can just navigate yourself to the website, log in, and then bam, you've got access to your Laserfiche system. So a lot of times we see a faster deployment with a SaaS solution. It's flexible and scalable. So in the back end, when we talk about self-hosted systems, you're controlling it all. This just scales with you as your needs grow. So as you store data, the data and all of that grows with you. So you don't have to worry about maintaining that. You don't have to worry about your backups. You don't have to worry about, what to do in the event of emergency. Your only emergency and your only worry is really if the internet goes down or out. Then you can't get access to your files. It's available through mobile devices, all mobile devices, just like a self-hosted system could be, but you have to configure that. With cloud, you can access it anywhere. You can just pull up the Laserfiche application from your device, get it from your app store, download it, and connect it directly with your repository. So again, a lot faster. You don't have to worry about IT getting involved. And the security is all taken care of for you. Laserfiche is set up, and has taken multiple compliance measures to ensure the security integrity of your documents. And so documents are stored and can be stored at rest. They are, 256-bit encrypted. They have all of that penetration testing and the SOC 2 certifications all completed so that you don't have to worry about your team, maybe having a lack of knowledge in some security or, vulnerability that comes available. The Laserfiche team has it covered for you, which is definitely an advantage to deploying a cloud solution. And same with compliance. Everything is tracked and maintained within Laserfiche, and they provide reporting, and they also provide outage notifications. And so, if there were some sort of issue or they were rolling out an update, you get notified of those things, or you can even navigate to their notification website, which I can post later on, that shows what the status is of the system at all times. So really, main advantages to the cloud SaaS system is that it deploys faster and you don't have to worry about any of that infrastructure. It's just set up. So you don't have to worry about IT and their busy schedules. You just get the system, you get logged in, and then you can start configuring and going from there. So let's talk about a couple of disadvantages. So for self-hosted, there's cost. You have to buy the server infrastructure and the licensing and the space and, the internal resources for keeping that all up to date. That can get really costly long term. And I think that a lot of organizations don't factor that into the self-hosted deployment costs. Is all of that back-end infrastructure really can drive up the cost of your Laserfiche system, especially if you don't have a dedicated server, or you need to expand your server, or you need to be worm compliant, any of those things. Those things are at a cost. And that goes with the knowledge too. I mean, those internal resources in this day and age, there's always hackers and there's always somebody out to get you, it seems. And so you don't have to worry about them making sure that they're plugging all of the holes in your infrastructure to make sure that it's accessible and available. You just don't have to rely on them with the cloud system. So really the two disadvantages that I was able to kind of pull up for a Laserfiche cloud environment is just that you don't have any server control. So what that used to mean for the Laserfiche cloud system is that integration capabilities were a little bit more limited because a lot of integrations that are out there that are at least pre-built, you would need some sort of server infrastructure to host them on. But with the latest updates that Laserfiche has rolled out for the API and the SDK, there is now combined functionality so that you can leverage that SDK and you can get those same types of integrations within your cloud environment. And then the only other thing I found for cloud is that it's not set up for CGIS compliance. So if you're a municipality and you plan on having your police department leverage a Laserfiche system, Laserfiche Cloud isn't set up for CGIS compliance. It's actually set up within a multi-tenant network in the Amazon server warehouse, meaning that multiple organizations may share a server, but of course there's segregation in between each of your systems so that everything is secure and nothing is intertwined and you're not searching on other people's Laserfiche systems. But technically that is not a CGIS compliant deployment. And so at this time, Laserfiche does not meet that CGIS compliance. But if you don't have that, again, if you're not a police department, that shouldn't really be a problem for you. So let's talk about a couple of the cloud feature highlights. So some of my favorites, and these are what we're going to be taking a look at when we jump into the demo too. So the home screen. The Laserfiche Cloud home screen gives you everything that you need all in one screen. It's super easy. You can see all your favorite documents, any of your tasks. any of your forms processes that you're available to kick off, all from one screen. Laserfiche Cloud also has direct share included. This is something that can be available if you have a self-hosted system of Laserfiche, but it's included in cloud. So instead of emailing a document to one of your end users or a citizen of some type, you can right click on the document and say, I want to direct share it. And then that will send them a URL, which allows them to click it. And then it will actually bring up that document in a secure sharing platform from within your Laserfiche location. And so you're not transmitting that document via email. You don't have to worry about it getting intercepted. They're just clicking a link that brings them right to the document. It's very similar to a share file, if you're familiar with share file. That's what direct share is for. However, it doesn't have the ability for a end user to share a document back through that URL. You would have to use Forms Portal or something for that. Surveys are included in Laserfiche Cloud as well. We're going to be taking a look at that today. I have definitely would say that that's underutilized for a lot of our clients and even CDI internally. So we'll take a look at what that looks like. Bots for business process automation and RPA. So getting the system to automate tasks for you automatically. So redundant things that you do every day. So maybe you go to a website and you screen scrape some text, copy and paste a bunch of stuff, and then you update an Excel document. You can use a Laserfiche bot to completely automate that process for you behind the scenes. So it's not something that you need to do regularly. So just one of those are included. You can add more bots, as needed. And this is a concurrent bot as well. So just one instance can be running at a time, but you can set up multiple bot profiles as needed. But again, only one can be running at a time with the included functionality. And then the business process automation. This is Laserfiche workflow, but with some really neat enhancements. So it allows you to do things like document capture. A lot of you are familiar with quick fields. Some of you self-hosted users are familiar with quick fields. Process automation is built right into workflow. And so you can bring in a document or a bunch of documents, drop them into a folder, and then have the folder pick it up, recognize the document, extract all the information, and then kick off, an approval process. We're going to be taking a look at that a little bit later. The smart invoice capture. This is an add-on, and this is really great for organizations that heavily use Laserfiche for accounts payable, receivable routing. With this smart capture, it's got, machine learning built in the background, extracting information from your documents. So you bring the files in, it OCRs the whole page, and then based on, a spot on the page or some certain text, will identify and extract information from that page to pull and push into metadata and then allow you to route more easily. So it saves you a lot of time. Instead of having to add all those keystrokes in, you can just do it with that smart invoice capture, which we'll take a look at. The vault. So if your team is needing some sort of warm compliance solution, which is write once, read many, we see a lot of our broker-dealer type of clients requiring that type of backup functionality. Laserfiche Cloud has you covered. You can include the vault as an add-on and set up that configuration so that you have your warm compliance solution. Another one, as we see Microsoft 365 kind of take over and roll out a lot of, features and functionality to you, Laserfiche has rolled out the Microsoft Teams integration. And this is specific to Laserfiche Cloud, which is really great. So if you're in Teams and somebody shares a document, you can easily save that to your Laserfiche system. Or if you're in Teams and you want to share a document, you can easily navigate by clicking the share a file, but it navigates your Laserfiche folder structure for you. So you don't have to drag it to your desktop and then pop it in. It keeps it all in one area for you, which is pretty nice. Something else to note is that Laserfiche has also been very vocal about a cloud first approach. So a lot of the new features that they've come out with, like this direct share, the smart invoice capture, the Teams integration, all of these things are getting rolled out to Laserfiche Cloud first. Cloud is where everything is going. Like I said before, it makes it a lot easier for organizations to deploy and push out a lot faster. It keeps IT out of the way. It's one less application for them to worry about. And so with that, every new feature that Laserfiche rolls out is going to cloud first. But that doesn't mean that they're going to discontinue development for our self-hosted system. So some of these features are available, but we had to wait for them in our self-hosted system. So you can get direct share, you can get this smart capture invoice, you can get some of these things in your on-premise system now as an add-on. So let's jump into it. Let's take a look at the cloud and what that looks like. So here we are. With cloud, you just, again, navigate to a URL. I just happen to have mine favorited. And then you log in. You can, of course, tie in multi-factor authentication. You can set it up with your Windows Active Directory services to make deploying users, of course, really easy. So much like a self-hosted system now. And then right away, it just drops us onto our home screen. Again, this home screen can be customized to kind of show you the information that is relevant to you. So I can see my tasks this week. I have 0 new ones, but I've completed 7. There's no open team tasks. I've got some starred documents. So I know that this has been kind of a fun feature for a lot of users where you can favorite documents that you leverage on a really regular basis. So again, if you are updating an Excel document or a list of something, you can favorite that and then it will show up here for you all the time. You can do a document search here from the home page. Any of the forms that you have permissions to submit or view or update are right here. Recent documents, so things I've looked at recently would show here. And then if I had any, these are my tasks, open tasks, but then any high priority tasks. So if anything was marked with a high priority or it was escalated into a high priority, take care of it. It's been 2 days, take action. You can take a look at it here. So then up here, you have the ability to kind of click on these different tabs. So you can take a look at documents. And again, this just opens up different folders for you, which you have the ability to customize. So you can have your recent documents, or you can change this and say, I actually want you to show me a different subset of folders that I use really regularly. Your tasks, this is forms tasks. So any tasks you have to do, you could reference here. And reporting. Of course, if you are running reports, operational reports on regularly, you would have the ability to see those reports here. And then you can also submit forms by clicking on any of these to kick off that process. So everything here is centralized in your homepage. So one of the really great things about the Laserfiche Cloud environment, again, is that you don't have to go to separate servers or know who to contact to get to for accessing other areas of your Laserfiche infrastructure. It's all here in one spot for you. So to navigate to things like workflow or to forms, you would actually just come up here to this quick access toolbar, and then it will bring you to different areas of your repository. So if I click repository, this is going to bring me directly to the folder structure, which, again, if you are an existing user of Laserfiche, it looks just like web access. It does not perform any differently. It is really the exact same outside of this, 9 squares navigation. You can still scan. You can drag documents in, the same old regular Laserfiche system. A couple of other things, to customize your experience is you can come up here to this caret, and then you can set up keyboard shortcuts, which you could do, but also configure your options. So, I just like for everybody to know this about me, so I set that up as my name. But you can customize your name and things like that along with some of those other home screen processes. So first I want to look at, we're going to take a look at the process automation and, kind of the quick fields built into our workflows through Laserfiche Cloud Process Automation. And we're going to do that by just dragging some documents into our HR folder. So here I've collected some updated W-9s from our clients, and I'm just going to drag them into the system. So we're dragging them in. It's going to ask me, the standard import questions. One of the new features in Laserfiche Cloud, which is really great because it helps you manage the size of your system, is you can select whether you want to import these as black and white documents, standard color documents, or high quality color documents. You can set that up as a default if you'd like. I'm just going to apply that across the board. So I'm going to import these. And, if you're familiar with workflow, you can have a starting rule kick off when a new document is added into the system or changed or updated or whatever it is. So my workflow is going to say, oh, hey, I see some new documents have come into the system and it's already taken a couple of them away. We're gonna it takes a little while when we have the kind of quick fields portion of it built out, but it will eventually refresh and we'll see them kind of get removed. So we're going to come back to that and we're going to jump into the process automation area. This is where you build out all of your workflows and all of your capture profiles, which is the quick fields portion, all of that. You can set your time zone and your work zone, things like that. So if we go into capture profiles, what this area is, again, is a lot like quick fields. So I'm saying, hey, I've got this document type and I want to extract some information off of it when it gets brought into the system. So recognize my form and then extract this information. So it's a lot like quick fields. It's very easy to do. You can just simply, drag and drop. Hey, I want you to extract this text. It got a perfect read on it. You can name it something. I'm not going to change my demo because that seems like a bad idea in the middle of a webinar. But it's super simple like that. You just kind of drag and drop it and you can give it a name and you could say, this is a fixed location. You'll find it here always, or, it's relative to some specific text on the page, or you can use a pattern match to find it. So again, it makes it a lot easier to recognize the information. So then if I go back and I jump into my workflows, we can take a look at this invoicing workflow. And by invoicing, I really meant I-9 filing. So if I click on this, it's going to open up the Workflow Designer. Again, very similar to Workflow Designer on a self-hosted system. You drag and drop your activities in and you design it away. But here we're bringing in the document and then we're running that capture profile. So right away, it's grabbing those documents and extracting the text from them, assigning the field values, and then routing it around based on, what we want. So here, if we found a match, move and file it into the employee record. If there's no match, move and file it and kick off a task, essentially. And then rename and store it. So up here, another really neat feature about the Laserfiche Cloud environment is that you get this little notification icon. This is not something that you get in a self-hosted system. I mean, you can get reminders in a lot of ways, such as having an email sent out or moving it to a specific folder that you work in really regularly. But in Cloud, you get this little notification. Hey, there's something you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and just click that, and it's going to bring me directly to my Laserfiche task. So here, I will be able to, once it finishes loading, actually going to X out of that and go back into my folder structure because I think that was an old task. And we're just going to jump into the repository where we had stored our documents. All right, so all of our samples are gone. We're good. So, I could click that notification icon if I had one, or I can go into my tasks. So again, I'm not having to navigate to a different URL. I'm just navigating in my one application. And then here's my review the metadata task. So when I did the drag and drop into the repository, it brought in all of my documents, but it did also recognize all of my documents as well. So I had originally planned for this to not recognize a document and then kick off a task for me to review. But crazily enough, it recognized everything. So if we go back to our repository, we go into HR, I'm just going to go into active employees, and we'll see that we've got Chelsea set up here. Brought in today at 1:23 was the I-9 and all of my other tests earlier. But if I go ahead and click it, we can see that it populated the field information, and then if I preview the document, the capture profile or quick field session extracted all the metadata off of this document that we needed. So we can see here, Chelsea Connor got populated, and then it auto-filed and renamed the document according to our standards. So again, this is just an example of how you can leverage quick fields as part of a workflow process, all as one single process versus having to leverage quick fields to extract information and then push it into a folder and have workflow pick it up and have it be kind of two separate processes. You can set it up all as one. So that's the capture profiles. It just reads the text off the documents when you bring it in and then kicks off that workflow. So let's jump back into the process automation, capture profiles, and take a look at the smart capture, smart invoices. So here I'm just going to open up this profile. And I brought in a few test documents. So I'm going to go ahead and just test this. And so what this smart capture does is or smart invoice capture does is again, it's a lot like quick fields, but it's got some of that, workflow and machine learning built in behind the scenes to extract information from the documents for us automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and just run a test on all of these documents with this smart capture profile. So it's going through, it's testing all those samples, and then it's going to spit out some results for accuracy. Like, how well did it think that it did? And then we can kind of dig in. So here we've got invoice number 1, 95% accuracy on the date, which I would say is 100%. Invoice number, it captured as the statement number. PO number, it's got a 75% match. Oh, it doesn't have anything. There was no PO number. It didn't find that. And then the total amount due. So I brought in a ton of different sample documents, and this is the accuracy and confidence levels that it found for each. If I jump down here, this one, it got the invoice number exactly. It also got the total due and the date all exactly. So I just brought these documents in, said based on invoice number or invoice, find this information, and then this is the accuracy results that I found. So if I take a look at this sample 3, oh, this one doesn't even have an invoice number or a purchase order number, so of course it didn't find any results, but it was able to find everything else accurately. We go to invoice sample number 2, same thing. We got the date, invoice number. There's no purchase order anywhere on here, so it didn't get that. But then again, it got the total due. So it does a really good job of extracting that information. Something that it still could use a little work on is the line items. It doesn't do the line items yet, so it's not going to come in here and do the item description and extract all of that for you yet. But what you can do is when invoices are received, your end users maybe fill out a form, say, hey, here's my invoice, and then Smart Invoice Capture picks it up, runs the processing on it, and then maybe kicks out an approval process where somebody could line item the details out if you needed. And then maybe from there, it creates a CSV that could then potentially get uploaded into your finance software for you automatically so that you don't have to rekey all of that information. It just does it for you. So that's the Smart Capture. All right, let's take a look at the surveys next. So if I go back into my process automation, and we can take a look at some surveys. So within here, you have the ability to develop surveys and then have it create results and reports for you all automatically. So we've got a pet survey here that we sent around the office. So here's the form. So it's just like using a forms process with the forms portal, but it's through the surveys application, which again gives you the reporting piece as well. So you have the ability to customize this form. We can go ahead and preview that if we want. Do you have any pets? Yes, I have pets. What are their names? Oh, no, I just want to do it on each separate lines. Do you have a dog? Yes. It is a good dog. There's no option for a bad dog. Is it a good dog? Yes. It's definitely a good dog. No cats here at my house. Any other pets? No. So we submitted that. That was just in preview, so it's not going to be a part of our results, but we can take a look at the reports. So here, if we want to take a look at the pet surveys, year to date, apply, we can review the specific submissions. And we can go just kind of click through and see each person's submission. This was mine from the other day. Got another employees. Do you have any cats, dogs? They have a cat here. Oh, lazy cat. That's kind of fun. And then if we take a look at the results, this is where you're going to see all of those surveys, combined into one. So we can see, do you have any pets? 11% of the people said no. 88% of the people said yes. What are the names of your pets? Some people skipped. Otherwise, these are all the different pet names that we have. We've got a Jewel, a Finnegan. Pretty fun. Do you have a dog? Gives us everything, in a table. And also you can click on these and you can drill down to get more information. And so you can see, okay, Corey submitted this and here's what she said. Now I can see her exact results. I can download it if I need to. So very interactive, pre-configured report to display the information to you. All right, so now that was this is just a kind of quick overview of the cloud. You can also change your starting page. So if you don't want to start on the home page, you can configure that here in your My Account, and then in your options, you can change which page you want it to start on. So some people like to go directly into the repository because they're not as familiar with the home page. You can definitely set that up to be your default application, audit trail, documents, some other spot, something like that. And then again, your administration is all done in one area. So again, you're not having to go to a separate location to find all of your Laserfiche applications and where to manage things. It's all done in one centralized interface. And of course, you can set up the permissioning so that certain users wouldn't be able to see certain things within your cloud environment. Like for you, if you get a cloud trial, you wouldn't be able to see customers. This is for me only. As a solution provider, we can see all of our customers and just the list of, who has cloud and what their configuration is. I'm going to jump back into PowerPoint quick, and then we can keep going. So signs you should move to the cloud. So your server is running out of space. Keep adding documents. Instead of continuing to add more space to your server, looking at a cloud option is a good idea. Your hardware is out of date. You're on, Microsoft SQL, 2012. It's almost out of support. You better get off of that. Instead of worrying about that and getting a new SQL license, which can be really expensive, maybe you should look at the cloud. Are you needing to improve your system reliability? Have you had a lot of outages? Having a hard time keeping your systems up because your servers keep crashing? Maybe a move to the cloud is right for you. Are you looking for the latest features? Another really great thing about Laserfiche Cloud is that the feature releases are all updated and rolled out to you automatically. So you're always on the latest and greatest of Laserfiche. You're always getting those new features first. And so you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for IT to put you on their schedule to get you those features, someday. It all just rolls out to you. Integrations, scalability, getting started quickly. If any of those things are things that you need, maybe cloud is the right decision for you. So let's say you're self-hosted. You have an existing self-hosted Laserfiche system and you're interested in moving to the cloud. What do you need to do? Well, in that case, you definitely want to start with a system review. This is where you connect with our team. It's all free. You connect with our team and we take a look at your Laserfiche infrastructure, and automation and all of the stuff that you have built out in your system now and just ensure its compatibility with cloud. And then from there, we'll help you identify, which cloud tier is right for you, whether it's starter, business, professional, or maybe some sort of other enterprise or site license option. And then from there, you can kind of mull on the pricing, but you can also get set up with a cloud trial. If anybody is interested in giving cloud a try, you can certainly do that. And then if you give cloud a try and you decide that, it is right for you, anything that you built out in your cloud environment can stay there. Unless we're migrating an old system to the cloud, then that's going to get wiped out. So don't do anything super crazy. Or, we can definitely get an export of it before we migrate everything into the new environment. But from there, we draft up the project plan. So how much time is it going to be to configure any of your old process automation in the cloud environment? Because that doesn't transfer over. Just your data and your folder structures do, and your users. But the permissioning and the groups and that kind of stuff does need to get rebuilt. And then we move you to the cloud. So I'm going to actually roll out a quick poll. So I'm rolling out a poll. Are you interested in a free cloud trial? Have you had a free cloud trial? This is something, again, it's free, it's easy. All right. So now I close it. don't know if you can see it, but we have 29% yes, 29% no. With astounding 43% say I wish and someday. Yeah, if you have a self-hosted system now, maybe cloud is not right for your team right now, or maybe it seems too expensive. If you have questions or you need help, coming up with the, sales pitch internally, don't hesitate to reach out to the CDI team. That's what we are here for. We're here to help you ensure that you're making the right decision for your team and your processes, going from there. So then here we'll open it up for some questions. I see we have a few. So let me open that up. Takes me a minute. These slides and this presentation will be available through the CDI YouTube page. And if you're not familiar with that, you can just go to YouTube and Google CDI or Cities Digital, and then that should bring you directly to our page. All of our webinars are recorded and available to you to reference later on. Here we have another question. What is the typical timeline ETA for the transition from a self-hosted to cloud environment, not hybrid? So that's a great question, and it's really dependent on a couple of different things. One, it's the size of your system, and then from there, based on the size of your system, we can kind of go one of two routes. We can either send you out a secure physical hard drive that then gets shipped to the Laserfiche, warehouse where the servers are, and then upload your information that way. If you don't have a ton of information, I would say, support would be able to answer this better, but I would say maybe 50 gigabytes or less, or maybe 100 gigabytes or less, we can do the transfer over the web. And so it's just dependent on what your web connection looks like. And then from there, it's about how much automation do you have in your system and what needs to get rebuilt. And so there's kind of a lot of factors that go into it, but we have seen some of our cloud transitions go really quickly. We actually transitioned a system from on-premise to cloud that had, I don't know, maybe like 30 or 40 workflows or 30 or 40 forms processes that were pretty elaborate, and just a couple of workflows. That whole process, with the timeline and goals we had to meet, took about a month from start to finish. So that was a really quick one. Some go a little bit longer because resources are maybe a little bit more scarce on your side, something like that. So there's a lot of variability that goes into that, and I'm happy to reach out directly if you kind of want to kick off that conversation and learn more. All right. So, short question list today. I want to just thank everybody for joining me. Again, these will be available through our YouTube site. I really appreciate your time, and you don't hesitate to reach out should you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everyone.